Colin.
Yeah.
What's your topic?
I want to talk about, and I'm just going to throw it out there with a little bit of context and then see what you guys think of the question. And then I'll come to it if it's necessary at the end. I assume will be. Is America exceptional? And do you as an American consider yourself exceptional compared to the rest of the world? American exceptionalism is this very old idea. It comes from, Thomas Paine even wrote about it a little bit, not in those terms, but it really comes from like Alexis de Tocqueville and Democracy in America. The idea that like something exceptional happened in America, the reviving of republicanism and and that there's just a special something about the United States, and therefore it creates special people and special products. And special ideas in special ways. And so I'm just curious if any of you guys believe that, because it's a very controversial idea. American exceptionalism, if you pay attention to presidential politics, not so much this year, but in years past, this is a question that's asked about like, do presidents like did Obama and Romney believe that America is an exceptional place with exceptional people? Because it inherently puts the rest of the world down. So right. I'm interested to see what you guys think of that idea. I'll just leave it there.
Yes, I think America is exceptional. I don't think it's as exceptional maybe as we drum it up to be. And I think that might be one of the reasons then people are like, well, no, it's not, because America is really good at talking about how great America is. And when your friends do that, you're like, all right, shut up, dude. Or even your foes do it or whatever, you say that. But I think the history of the country is amazing. I think that the ability for us to go and do something like this is amazing. And I think that's part of being in America, part of the freedom, part of, for us, 30 years of hearing that bootstraps and you can do it and you can live your dream. And this is, America is the land of opportunity and all these different things. I think that, sure, some of that is just rah, rah, rah politics or rah, 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 nationalism. But I think there are examples like this, kind of funny in us doing a business like this that, granted, it could have worked in France if we were French and we were doing this stuff. Sure, probably, I don't know. But it's one of those that here there was never a doubt for that. There never was that thing. America always talks like it's the biggest swinging dick in the room, and it is. And that's not because of me. I didn't write the Constitution. I didn't fight in any wars. I didn't do any of this stuff. But it all plays into that same mindset of, yeah, we are American. Yeah, we are awesome. I think Newsroom, of course, that opening, right, is like the best, most honest attack on no, you're not. You know what I mean? America's not exceptional.
Yeah. For people that have never seen that, you should look it up. Jeff Daniels' monologue at the beginning of the first episode of Newsroom is fantastic about. They ask about American exceptionalism, and he fucking destroys.
Why is America the greatest country on earth?
And he destroys the entire idea of why America is exceptional.
And he starts, quoting, of course, how we're so far behind in math and science and all these different things, and how the economy is fucked and all these different problems that America does have, but we ignore all the time when we say that we're the best country on the face of the earth and all these great, crazy things.
Well, that's always my question for you, Colin, is that, obviously Donald Trump is running on a platform of make America great again, right? What period do you think he's referring to of greatness for our dear country here?
I would say post-war, probably Eisenhower through, or Truman and Eisenhower through Reagan and Bush.
But isn't that sentiment a little bit false, right? Isn't that something that we can't really, like, it's not defined. When you say make America great again, my first question would be when? The 80s or like late 40s, early 50s? Like what era of America are you striving to be? And
I don't know what he means. I can assume what he means.
I don't think he means anything, right? I think honestly it's just an inspirational
it's like Obama's hope. I mean, it's the same thing.
We're in such a dark time that the only ray of sunshine is the Dark Knight out there who can give us like, a ray of hope in this city that's being taken over by Bane.
Yeah.
Hope is interesting, and hope for change. I think I get the sentiment, but at the same time, I find it a little, very disingenuous when he says making America great again, because I don't remember this country ever not being great. But I think he's going back to the point. As far as the opportunities that it has afforded me personally, and granted, I am in a certain strata of life. I'm a white male. I do have, I had great parents and a great upbringing. But I've always been sort of told that this is a place and this is a country where if you want to do something and you have the motivation to do it, chances are you can succeed.
Sure.
You will be afforded every opportunity if you go out there and fight for it.
Great for go-getters, yeah.
It is.
But I think to make America great again, not having followed Trump, I think as a businessman, it plays out perfectly and like what he means, right? He means about keeping companies in the United States, not having Monsanto go to Mexico and lose all these thousands of jobs, bring down unemployment, bring up the, get us out of debt. Sorry?
Carrier air conditioning.
I was going to say.
No, I'm talking about the people who do Oreos. Monsanto, when they left. But Carrier did as well. Yes.
Okay. I didn't know.
To stop the
Monsanto wasn't that. I didn't know.
Monsanto's the seed grower. They go to Mexico to get immigrants and bring them in the
I
United
see.
States
Okay.
to actually as migrant workers.
Okay.
That's the last I heard of it. Sorry.
Cool.
I know there's
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's fine. But I mean, I'm talking the dozens of companies that you hear about who
many.
are bailing
Inverting.
out. Yeah, and going out and to go somewhere else because this isn't a climate for them. And this,
this is a
and so
very
you're losing
anti-business
jobs.
climate.
We lose jobs, unemployment, this, that, and the other.
But I mean, yes, as much as you want to say that, but I mean, I look at when I think, economy could be better. Corporations could be taxed less. Business wise, sure. I don't pretend to sit here and know whether or not we're in a good place. Socially, I think this is the best time to ever live in the United States in the history of our country. I don't think there's any possible way you could argue against that. And when you talk about making America great again, well, in the 80s, it wasn't that great for gay people. The 70s wasn't that great for women. 60s wasn't that great to be a minority.
Mondoles, my apologies.
I was gonna say, yeah. So I mean, I think when you start talking about that, you really have to break it down to yes, do we have problems? Of course we have problems. We're always gonna have problems. In a country with 318 million people, we're gonna have problems, right? We're gonna have issues. We have corruption at the highest levels. We're well on our way probably for another economic collapse because we didn't learn anything from last time. But at the same time, gay marriage is legal. Weed's on its way to being legal, those are two awesome things right there. We live in a country where women are afforded all of the rights that men are, which is not the same in the rest of the world. Certainly not the same in specific Middle Eastern countries. Are we better or worse off than European countries? I don't know. That's a matter of your personal preference for how you want to live your life or the specific circumstances in which you want to live. I think we are, and I think it's very telling that we are still, to this day, the country that everyone is fighting to get into. Now, whether or not they're fighting to get into it because of a certain ideal that we represent is very debatable.
Yeah.
Because in practicality, we're not that great overall. But I still stand by the fact that we are afforded way more freedoms than anyone else in the rest of the world. And this is a place where you can be the person you want to be.
I think the ideal is the important part. So it's like, are we exceptional and like make America great again? I think all that is just saying that we want to be exceptional. That is the goal, and that is what we believe we are, or at least what we are in theory. And I think that make America great again, it's like we could be better. You know what I mean? I feel like that it's all a positive thing overall of what America stands for, and it is the idea that if you don't have that ideal, then what are you? If you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone else believe in you? And I think that at least the starting point of I believe in America,
right?
Like I believe in America, I believe in America. Then it's like, all right, cool. We can at least agree to believe in this and try to make it the thing that we want it to be. And I feel like a lot of the other places are a bit more splintered and a bit more, just. They are looking at wanting to leave where they are and go somewhere else. Whereas here, it's a bit more like, all right, how do we fix where we're at? We're good. How do we make this better?
I think another part of it too, and Colin, I'll need you to help probably rein me in a little bit on my facts, make sure I don't misspeak on some of the stuff. But for the fact of, I think that yes, America is exceptional, and there are many Americans who are as well. But I think that not universally, but across the country, I think you'd find people who say, yeah, America's exceptional, but maybe that person themselves is not living an exceptional life. Mm-hmm. However, with the fact of America being so big and having so many people in it, I think we afford ourselves the opportunity that there are, per capita, you'd say, more exceptional people we're starting this crazy business and we're internet famous or whatever, and then there's movie stars, and then there's this, and then there's that. Whereas when you get to a smaller country, a Britain, a France, or whatever, there's people who break out. There's exceptional people that come from that place, but because of a smaller population, because of there's the same idea of people there who are living non-exceptional lives, then they have these breakout people who go do it, but they aren't
Britain
sitting
has
there.
10 actors in every single show.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, if you become an actor in Britain, you're in everything.
If you're a British actor who can do an amazing American accent, you come to Hollywood.
Not even that.
Work.
No, like
You're
what's
work.
Professor McGonagall? Any British movie you see
in
her
it.
show, she's going to be there.
She's awesome.
She's going to be in this thing. But then you get to, okay, so then why for a bigger country aren't we, or countries that are bigger than us, like China, why aren't we seeing more people there? And it's like, well, they've had years of this regime or whatever. Same thing with Russia, where it's like be a standout, be exceptional, celebrate who you are, do something amazing isn't what they were being promoted, what they wanted to believe, what they were getting from birth, what they were celebrating on the holidays where, I mean, in America, it's all about America, and we're all decked out in red, white, and blue, and we're all, 4th of July, obviously. We were doing all these different things.
Just always.
Yeah, just all the time. We're all dressed like Macho Man at fucking WrestleMania.
I would do that if you would.
Totally, I'm in. But then you get to anywhere else, and it's like, I feel like when you see a military parade in Russia or whatever, right, and it's about uniformity, it's about conformity, it's not about being standout.
Yeah, see, I would disagree with you just in that I don't look at this country as exceptional in the definition that you just defined it as, right? Which is this like sort of like we are a country full of like chosen people that are above a cut above everyone else in the world. I don't look at it like that because we certainly aren't when it comes to our healthcare. We certainly aren't when it comes to our obesity rates. We certainly aren't when it comes to any number of things.
Tolerance.
Our education, like you already mentioned. But I do think there is something important and powerful about the ideal of what we are supposed to stand for that does inspire people that are in those other areas of the world, that are in China, that are in North Korea, that are in areas of the world that don't have the freedoms that we're allowed. That is important. It's probably the most important thing, right? Having there be some beacon of hope out there for people to say like, look, you can come here and live and be the person you want to be, I think is what America to me is most important for, is what America stands for, and is why I'm proud to be an American. Again, we are about to elect Donald Trump as our president, so we do have some fucked up issues that we have to sort out in this country. Kevin just shook his head no, but
we'll see.
It's a possibility, Kevin. But I don't necessarily buy into the rhetoric that we are exceptional. America is the best country in the world. I think we're better at some things than and worse than on other things. But I do think that we are a symbol to a lot of people out there, and I think that is something that we should always keep in mind.
I think we are simple because we believe that we're exceptional.
Exactly.
You know, because we say we are. It's really all
because
it
you
is
say you
tell
can be
people,
exceptional when you come here,
talk
right?
the talk. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
And that's not to say that people in Britain or people in France or people in Italy don't have amazingly exceptional people, because they do. I mean, you can't discredit that. Look at the freaking soccer leagues, for Christ's sake. We couldn't win a World Cup here for our women's team can, but we couldn't win a World Cup here if our life depended on it.
We're gonna get it.
Yeah. 40, 50 years from now, maybe.
when we take all of them one by one.
When we get Britain back. We're like, Britain, we're coming back to you. We're getting revenge. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
The Brenter.
Colin, are we exceptional?
And on an individual basis, no. But it is the egalitarian nature of the United States that makes it exceptional.
Good word.
And there's no country like it in the world. Now,
I'm going to incorporate that. Every time you use a big word like that, lock it back here.
we are egalitarian, right? Like we really do believe fundamentally, at least
fuck does that mean?
It means that everyone's the same. Everyone's equal.
Everyone's created
There's like total equality. That is the principle of the founding. Now, there's, if you read Gordon Wood or read Howard Zinn or something like that, there's a lot of flaws in that. The founders were all rich men. They were plantation owners. They were slave owners. All that kind of stuff. We have scars, deep scars in the United States, in terms of racial and economic divides. What I think makes us exceptional is not only the egalitarianism, but also the melting pot nature of the United States. We actually attract go-getters and the best of the best in a lot of ways. Now, do we do that anymore? I don't know, but we definitely did back in the day, because people first were running away from religious tyranny, and then they came because they wanted a better life. And so, like, if you left, like, my family left Ireland, the Moriartys left Ireland, at least that segment of the Moriartys left Ireland in the late 1850s, and came to the United States for opportunity. They weren't getting opportunity in Ireland. They looked for opportunity here. They got off the boat. My great grandfather, whatever, got off the boat and signed his life over to the Union Army, to fight in the Civil War by 1860, 1861, having no association with the United States, and just knowing what it meant, and knowing that he would get his citizenship and be allowed to stay if he fought for the Union and they won, and we did. And you're just not seeing that kind of shit anywhere else in the world, really. People are we're literally dying to come to the United States. And I'm a patriot, and I'm proud to be an American. I'm immensely proud. I wrote about it on July 4th that I will be proud until the day I fucking die that I'm an American, and I believe in this country, and I believe what it stands for. It's not us individually. It's us and us collectively, I think, and in our system. We revived small R Republican representative government that the rest of the world copied. And you can't, just like we copied the old style that was dormant and dead for 1,500 years, like we did that. Our founders.
Who was the last one?
The Romans, and so it's like we revived that. Revolutions that were fought after that, like the French Revolution, were entirely inspired by what we did here. They were way out of fucking control over there. It was a super violent, Robespierre and the guillotine, all that kind of shit. But they were directly and overtly inspired by Thomas Jefferson. They made that clear. Thomas Jefferson was a hero to them. He
lived in France for a really long time. Right?
Yeah, him and Adams both lived over there for a long time, because they were, we wanted to get the French into the war, and they spent, and Franklin too spent an immense amount of time in France.
Great Nick Nolte movie. Was it Jefferson in Paris? I think is what it was called.
No, I
never saw it. It looked terrible.
But
like most Nick Nolte movies.
But to me, like the system develops The system itself, if you study American history, it was tumultuous. Like the Treaty of Paris was signed in 1783. We actually, a lot of people don't know or didn't realize we had an original constitution, the Articles of Confederation, that we lived under for a few years, and then we got rid of it. Then we had the Constitution ratified 1787, 88, 89, went through the states. We fought our first war against the French, the Quasi-War, and we fought in Algiers and all these places against the Barbary pirates. And then we fought the War of 1812. Then we had a period of peace from 1815 to 1865, generally, where like things really started to develop, right? And so like we had like this time to figure things out. This is when we were like, do we have a divine right to this country? And I don't think we do, but people like James Monroe asked, like with the Monroe Doctrine, like, couldn't we just take it all? Like, and we did, like, don't we have a right to just go all the way to the Pacific and take all of it?
Manifest.
And we did do that. Then we fought a bloody war, and and we've been involved in a lot of different wars in the United States. But the war we fought with ourselves was the bloodiest war we ever fought. I think something like 4 or 5% of maybe even a little higher than that of men aged like 16 to 50 or whatever died in that war. It's insane. The amount of people died in the Civil War of us fighting each other over an old institution. And we have scars of racism and all these kinds of things. And we have panics and busts and all these kinds of things that are totally like antithetical to like stability. Yet in the United States, like we also developed much of the world's technology. We developed much of the world's entertainment. We developed like much of the world's culture and stuff like that. Like, and there's something to be said about that. So I don't like, and these things are all developed here. And when you look at like when you look at the world and like what powers the world, like, and this is one of the things I was saying on July 4th. It's like, it's just strange to me that a lot of it's American. We are 4% of the world's population. Google, American. Apple, American. Microsoft, American. Tesla, American. The future of cars. SpaceX, the future of space exploration, American. The interesting thing about Tesla and SpaceX, founded by a guy from South Africa who intentionally came to the United States and is one of the people that is like, it can only happen here.
And I think that's the big point, is that I feel like what America is generally is everywhere else coming here to do something. And I think that there's an obvious reason for that. When you look at people that are motivated, it's them that are doing things. It's not the people that are just like, I'm here, so whatever. And when you could be born somewhere else and just stay there, and that's fine. But if you're born somewhere else and like, I'm going to go here to do this, you're doing something.
Yeah,
so
you're already motivated
they're already
enough
a
to do
step above so many other people. So, and I feel like it also could work the other way of like, if there were Americans going to other places, they're exceptional people too. Like, I think that if you have a plan and a goal and you're getting off your ass and doing it, I think that's the most important part. And I just think because of the symbol and what America stands for, there is a lot of people coming here to do something. So for them to take that step already, that means that they're a step above everyone else because they are taking a step. You're going to win the race if you're the only one moving, Right.
Exactly. I think you're absolutely right. And so it's not, so to me, it's like, I look around and I just look for the evidence, right? Like that America is in some way exceptional on a systemic level or in terms of a societal level. And I think the obvious answer in that case is obviously yes. Like, people are literally still falling themselves. 240 years later, people are still falling over themselves by the millions to get into this country. That's not happening anywhere else. No offense, no one's falling over themselves to get to Russia or China. No one's falling over themselves to get into India. No one's falling over themselves to get in a lot of places in Europe. Like it's like there's something. It's not us. It's the place. It's not even the government. It's the system. It's like the like. You can make billions or you can eat shit. And we really don't know like what's going to happen when you try, but you can try here.
There's something
and I think that's exceptional.
Here.
Yeah. And so like, when I say that with great deference to the rest of the world, like we are pieces of Germany and England and China and Japan and Russia and all that. We are absolutely all pieces of these places. And so the ironic thing about the United States is that it just wouldn't be what it is without the rest of the world yet. I also think that the rest of the world would not even be remotely what it is without the United States. And I'm not only talking about in literal ways. I mean, you only need to look around you for 1 second to see what America gave you. But like, you look at it just in terms of like the spirit of the United States, I think is contagious. And so I think that like America is exceptional. I don't think Americans are exceptional. I think I think within these borders, something special happens. And it's not because we're in within these borders. It's because like there's a magic here that allows chances to be taken and all those kinds of things. And I just don't think you can look at it as coincidence that the world's biggest economy is in the United States. The most purchasing power is in the United States. The most important market for everyone to sell their goods is in the United States. And like all of the like technology that you use and all like, or much of the technology, a lot of the medicine, a lot of all something like 64 of the top 100 universities in the world are American. You know, I was reading something we were talking about. I think we talked about it on another show. Like something like 60% of the top 100 hospitals are American. We're talking about this with education and medical systems that are way below European standards because there still is something about it here, you know? So like, I think that the thing is that like, I don't look at it in an arrogant way. I look at it as like an aspirational way. Like I want the world to benefit from us and I want to benefit from the other things that people around the world are giving us as well. The thing that bothers me is like the rampant anti-Americanism that happens, like where everyone hates us or thinks like that. And I'm like, dude, like, no offense, but you're typing that on your iPhone using Twitter. You know what I mean? Like on an internet created by the Department of Defense. You know? So like to me it's and again a lot of people get confused. The World Wide Web was created in Europe. The internet was not. So like I to me it's like, you know, we've given the world a lot and I'm proud of that. But again, we are regressive and have much to learn as well. And that's one of the things I wrote in my message on July 4th that I wrote on Facebook was like, we have much to learn. We are lagging far behind in many fundamental ways. And I do believe, to Donald Trump's point, in a way, I disagree with much of what he says, but I do think we are a country in decline. And I do think that we are letting it happen. And we are burning very brightly. This country is only 240 years old. And a lot of people look at us and be like, well, you guys are so young and so inexperienced. I'm like, for someone so young and so inexperienced, we certainly did do everything for the world in a very short amount of time, didn't we? You know? But like we have to make sure we don't burn out quickly. We have to continue to learn from the rest of the world. We have to continue to let the best and brightest from around the world come in here and found these new companies and help us make ourselves better. But I do think that only happens in a place like the United States. And I'm super proud of it. I'm super proud to be an American. And I'm super proud that what we export to the world is our culture. What we export to the world is our music and our movies and our television shows.
Our Yankee blue jeans.
And our technology and our tech companies and all these kinds of things. I'm super fucking proud of that. You know? And do I think I had anything to do with that? No. But I think that like the Moriartys here for generations that helped fight for those things and fight for the system certainly did.
And I think that is another key thing. Like what I was saying earlier about the people that are trying to come here are the ones most motivated. So of course they're going to do something because they're working to get this chance. I think that, you know, we are all people here where we have met and interacted with the people that first came here. And I think that as generations go on, like the brightness might go down in the sense that like my kids are going to have no idea how my family got here. You know what I mean? I met my grandma who came here from Ireland. I know her. You know what I mean? So it's like I have that since I've heard the stories from my mom about how horrible all that shit was. And that's crazy, you know? So like that definitely in some subconscious way motivates me to be who I am and take advantage of what I'm given. I've never really thought about it in that way, but that's the truth. You know, I see other people and it's like, I know so many people that had to fight to get here and to fight to have the opportunities here. And like, they're working harder than anybody else, you know?
Sure.
And I feel like that's why we need to keep letting people in, to keep reinvigorating that drive and need and want and desire to do better, to do something new, to make things better for them and their families. And that's where are we excellent as individuals? No. But I think that we need to keep letting excellent individuals in to at least maintain the overall standard to make the general we better.
Yeah, absolutely
Well
agree.
said, Tim.
I absolutely agree. I think that it is very well put. Yeah, so I think that like I don't stand next to a person from Germany or a person from Iceland or wherever and be like, I'm fundamentally better than you. Of course I'm not. You know, of course I'm not. I'm very egalitarian in that way as well. But I think I look at the system, I look at the country, and I put it next to another system or another country, and I'm like, well, the evidence is somewhat obvious, right? Like that we're doing something right here, and I'm super proud of that. But we also have much to learn from the rest of the world, and I do sometimes get upset that the fingers pointed at us about all the things we do wrong could probably be pointed right back inward on them about the things they forget that we did for them. You know, and I'm not talking about World War II and all that kind of. I don't care about any of that stuff. I'm talking about like the way America has enriched your lives in so many different ways.
In sync
Was paramount among and at the apex of that.
That's
of
the
Potato Triangle.
number one example right there.
So I think that there's much to be proud of in that sense, and I think that like, you know, I agree with you. Like, what's so great about America is that it is a global community. It always has been. We are not an insular community. We never have been since antebellum America. Have we ever really been insular? People have always been coming over here. The Germans came over here. Like, people forget. Like, everyone's looking at like, well, look at the Central and South Americans coming over here, and I'm like, dude, that's just the next wave of the waves and waves and waves of people from around the world that came here. It's just the Chinese coming over here to build the railroads. The Japanese coming over at the turn of the 19th or the turn of the 20th century. The Germans coming over, Quakers, Puritans,
Yep.
like everyone. A lot of free Africans coming over in the 1600s. That didn't last very long, unfortunately, in our system. But like there was like a lot. There's always been an amalgamation and a hodgepodge and a potpourri of fucking people. That's what makes America great. That's what
melting
gives us,
pot.
and that's what gives us our prestige and power. But I do think it's very much in decline, and I think it's very much in danger.
I want to save that topic for later because I think that's a good topic about if America is declining.
Sure.
Thought-provoking topic, Colin. Good job.
Thank you.